Gandalf, Odin, were you expecting that at Sonic Summit? I sure wasn't. Very fun hackathon. I think it was really cool, and I'm really excited to see other ones at other conferences. So, I told you guys we're pretty much done, but I actually have a surprise for you. We have one more fireside. Is it a panel? No one knows. I just heard about this, but I do know who will be here. It'll be Sam Harcourt, the assistant, and Mitchell. So I hope you enjoy, and let's see. Welcome, Sam. The assistant.
Yep, yeah. We have Michael joining as well, if we can get that seat out. Yep, perfect. Sorry, it's the last edition here. Matt, myself, Mitchell, we've been talking for quite some time now, and we felt like it was a great time to sort of like say a final word from the BD side, as well as from Michael as well. Here we go. We made it. And introduce some new avenues that we want to approach with. I think with Galaxy sponsoring this event, it showed a signal to a lot of users, holders, developers that we want to take a more traditional finance approach to our go-to-market strategies. We all know real-world assets are becoming a major part of our industry. And for all of Phantom's days and our initial rollout of Sonic, it's been very focused on native builders, and I believe we're getting amazing traction with that. But we also do need to keep in mind that real-world assets are being tokenized at an incredible rate. We're seeing billions of dollars come onto chain almost every day. So it's something that we need to pay attention to.
One of the things I would mention is that I think it's important to acknowledge that we all on the team, and probably because you guys are here, we think Sonic technology is incredible. And a lot of the times when you have such good technology, we often ask ourselves, why isn't everyone using this? Why isn't tons of money flooding into this? What's happening? Why? And the answer is very simple. The answer is just distribution. The reality is that we have steps that we're going after for distribution. The technology could be the best in the world, but not giving it the right distribution to get into the right conversations and the right geographical locations and the right markets. That's a huge task, and it takes a lot of work. So up until this point, like I've mentioned a bunch of times here, USDC has been our distribution to get a lot more get involved in more exchanges. And as you've seen with Binance Alpha for protocols, that's kind of what spreads the word of Sonic of people using it. But another route is the real world assets and other let's say institutional or unique distribution types. So that's why Mitchell is here. Like Sam said, we've been talking with Mitchell a lot. So maybe the best way is, Mitchell, if you can introduce yourself briefly, and then we can dive a little bit more in what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. So my name is Mitchell Demeter, and I've been building in the crypto space for about 12 years now. And a lot of that work has been done inside of the Canadian capital markets. So we built out an exchange in Canada inside of a TradFi, basically a listed company in Canada. And now we're focused on building out a new company called Sonic Strategy, which is a listed issuer in Canada. And the goal here is to really bridge that gap between Web3, native crypto assets into the traditional markets.
Yeah, I mean, I think that summarizes. We can get a little bit more into detail, but for most people that are asking, I'll give you guys a little bit more information of how this works for, let's say, institutional adoption or just general distribution. There's a few things that you need to have. One is institutional custody, the custody providers that are out there, like maybe Anchorage Digital, Copper, BitGo, Coinbase, etc. So you need to have a place for where those funds can actually go. So if there is demand from users, from institutions, they get the tokens. They're not keeping them on a ledger, right? They have regulations, they have certain attestations and financial audits and security audits that they need to provide to whatever the regulating entity is for the jurisdiction. So that's one part. Another part is getting the actual people, where is the demand for how to get this. And as a team, as Sonic, that's not, we're not focused on going out there and like selling Sonic, like it's very hard when we're focused on like the core product and the technology. But it's where something where what Mitchell's working on, which is called Sonic Strategy, comes into play, where he can kind of collaborate with us, where he is an early believer in Phantom, early investor in Phantom, and he sees a bright future for Sonic, where he wants to replicate like this quote unquote like micro strategy, Sonic strategy, Solana strategy technique, where you're able to build a company in the traditional finance market and then tap into the crypto industry to bring more eyes to what we're building. So if you can share a little bit on how you plan to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially the way that this works is it's almost like a synthetic ETF, where we've got this listed issued company, and the types of investors that we're targeting are high net worth individuals, family offices, other institutions that sometimes their mandates don't allow them to go and get this native exposure and hold the assets because of all the liability and risk that come along with that. Yeah. On top of that, we've got a great relationship with Canaccord Genuity in Canada, which is one of the largest investment banks in Canada. Sorry, the largest investment bank in Canada. We just did a sponsorship with them. And so we go out through their brokerage network, and these are bringing in retail customers that are looking for exposure to the digital asset space but don't know how else to get it and don't want to be actively participating. And so through our business, we can be running validators, we can be staking, earning yield, we can be taking part in DeFi strategies inside of Sonic, we can be investing in a lot of the early platforms to get token exposure, and just have this vehicle that acts as essentially a proxy and a directional overall exposure vehicle to Sonic and the Sonic ecosystem. And so it's a really unique offering, and a lot of capital around the world is still on the sidelines, and they want to hold regular equities, and for a variety of reasons, like custody, but also taxes and accounting. And so this can be held just in their traditional brokerage account, and it really just simplifies it while giving them exposure to up and coming blockchains like Sonic.
The added bonus there is the yield, because I know some ETFs Matt and myself have talked with. Generally, they can't actually give their traditional investors the staking yield or the staking rewards because of the structure, right?
It's important that, if you guys just listen to what Sam said, like we do talk to ETF providers like quite oftenly, like all of the big ones that you see. I know everyone. A year ago, no one had ETF, but now like everyone has an ETF.
Yeah.
So we talk to all these people. So like I want people to know like we are actively pursuing all of these types of institutional instruments. But starting off with something like this helps a lot. When there's demand, and then we have a point of reference when we're talking to like a big ETF provider, and we could say, well, there's this financial product in Canada. It's scaling. They're actively actually purchasing Sonic on market. They're participating in the ecosystem. Then they're like, okay, well, there's demand for this. Maybe then we should do it. But most of the time, they're not willing to go on a limb and just start putting in a lot of the footwork. And even if they are, it's a huge price tag.
With the road shows, so when me and Matt talk with these providers, and I'm sure a lot of the names you would recognize, then the first question we say is like, okay, amazing. We can launch this ETF together, or at least go to ETP, ETF, and upgrade. But what is it for us? Like, obviously, there's a fee that they're going to take, and that's in their best interest. But is it in our best interest to have this institution vouching for us? And are they going to put us first over, say, like some of our competitors? And I think, Mitchell, this is why this structure is so interesting to us, is because you're going to put us first because he's a firm believer in Sonic. And therefore, when he's going and talking with his base, he's telling the Sonic vision, which is just so important. He's not trying to sell like 4 different ETF packages, which is super interesting. So maybe, Mitchell, actually, curious question, like why did you pick Sonic for the fund? And are you seeing any initial interest from who you're talking with?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason I chose Sonic is I was an early investor in Phantom, and I've been following you guys' story closely. I was fortunate enough to meet a few of you guys in Abu Dhabi in 2021, and so I've been along for the journey, and I think that it is just the best blockchain out there right now. And I think that distribution on kind of more of an institutional level, I think there's a gap there, and I think that building the exchange in Canada inside public markets, I think that I learned that there's 2 sides to basically building these types of businesses, where one is building out the tech, the infrastructure, developer acquisition, user acquisition, and that's a massive, massive undertaking in its own. And you guys have done a very, very good job at that. And like I said, I think it's the best blockchain in existence right now. The other side of this business is kind of that investor relations side, talking to institutions and basically being that horn, getting the distribution out there. And so while you guys are hosting conferences and events focused on the actual ecosystem, developers, user acquisition, and all the support that you provide there, we can be attending events, talking to a completely different audience, and raising capital and bringing capital into this ecosystem from a completely different angle, and then the two work together very synergistically.
I think it's important to highlight, like, some of you might be questioning, like, what are these guys even talking about? But the reality is that, like, this is not a theoretical thing. Like, Mitchell has already started this. It's underway, and Sonic Strategy is preparing to start acquiring S tokens. So in a 8-digit size. So that's really exciting for us. And how does it look moving forward for us? It's pretty simple. I mean, like Mitchell had mentioned, he's working very close with one of the largest institutions in Canada, which is called Harcourt. And they have like around 100 billion assets under management. And basically what Mitchell's looking to do is he's looking to kind of be the one who's going out there and working with them and then bringing them to us, and we're educating them on Sonic. So he is an advocate for Sonic, and a loyal one at that. And as many of you know, me and Sam are more than willing to get on a phone call, probably too many phone calls, and talk about Sonic all the time. So anyone that's coming in with institutional interest, we look forward to speaking with them. We look forward to preaching the word of Sonic, and we appreciate your overall interest in helping to bootstrap the institutional side of our demand. So thank you.
And with every panel I've been on, I've gone over time.
It's okay. We're the
like
last ones.
Yeah, I just want to say, a lot of
But I'll
people
hand
say,
it to
when ETF, when institutions, etc. Well, now it really begins, and it begins with Mitchell and his company as well. So I just want to say, really thank you on behalf of the team, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's a great announcement we're going to make here.
Awesome, thank you.
We try to I want to say something the last before.
Yeah, of course.
We try to over the years there's a lot of requests from people, and those requests don't fall on deaf ears. I think that as of the past 12 months or even 16 months, we've made it our main priority to focus on the shortfalls that the community has identified to us. Meaning that, not every chain is perfect, that's for sure. But one of the benefits that we have at Phantom Sonic is that we've been able to learn a lot, and we have a really large community and a loyal community that's been giving us really valuable feedback. So, when you guys ask us, when Coinbase, when ETF, when marketing, when this, when conference, we listen to everything. It takes a little bit of time, but I promise you that on our side, we're doing everything that we can. And with the new updated tokenomics on Sonic, thanks to the governance, we'll be able to do more and more and more. We'll be able to do more Sonic summits and everything. So maybe that's a good transition for Mike.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for attending today. This is the final panel or final speaking session. We had over 400 people sign up. We had over 300 people attend. And I think that's a really remarkable set of numbers, given that it's the first conference. It is in a location where there's no other conferences going on at the moment or crypto-related events. And that was one of the reasons why we chose Vienna.
Someone said something really funny to me today, actually. I was in the store, and someone said, "Why are you in town?" I said, "I'm here for a crypto conference." And twice I was told, "Crypto conference in Vienna?" and then the guy said to me, "Usually we have conferences about chocolate or cakes." I swear. And I was like, "Well, you have good chocolate and cake, so I get that." So
and interestingly enough, we had over 65 people, locals, actually attend.
Yeah.
So I was really pleased by that, because that was not what I really expected. The number one nationality are Austrians who are here, and it's really great that everyone here is pretty much someone who is already very interested in the Sonic ecosystem. There are a lot of builders here, a lot of developers who have never met one another in person. Perhaps they've talked to one another online from time to time, But it's really great that they're able to finally meet in person. And I can see that a lot of conversations happening outside and at different events at the U-Bar and at the other museum as well, where I think people are going to be making like great deals amongst one another. And that's what I really like about the Sonic community. When people get together and they collaborate, they integrate their DeFi applications together, they integrate different types of applications together for like mutual benefit, because that really helps make our job easier in terms of like growing the chain. And I also want to thank our sponsors as well. We've had a large number of sponsors who came in very, very quickly towards the end of organizing the conference. And in particular, I want to point out to our gold sponsors, Galaxy Digital, and I'm very pleased that they sent someone here at the last moment to be part of the conference as well, Eduardo. I'm also very pleased by SwapAx and Ichi as well for being gold sponsors, and many other projects in the ecosystem for sponsoring as well. There's another final announcement I want to make, which is that we'll be hosting another Sonic Summit. It will be a day event just before Token 2049 in Singapore. So we're going to make it bigger and better. Thank you. And we had a few hundred people, as I mentioned here, attend, and I think we're going to have far, far more for the next conference.
2,000.
Far more announcements as well. Yeah. So again, thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Yep. There's going to be evening events at U-Bar again, and I'll see you around as well. So thanks again for making your way all the way here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, man. Pleasure.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome.
They're very nicely done. Oh,
Thanks, Mitchell. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming in on stage at the end.
oh yeah, nice. Thanks, man.
Excellent.
After you.
Well, that'd be a tough act to follow, but thankfully, no one needs to follow them. My final remarks, I just want to thank you all for your support, for showing up here in Vienna. It really does mean a lot, not just to me personally, but to the Sonic team as well. So, again, thank you so much, and don't forget to, they told me to say this exactly, so I didn't write this. Snap some selfies, make some deals, visit the U-Bar at 7:30 to 9:30 for the Sonic Blockmates after party. So I hope to see you all there, and I hope you enjoy the rest of one of the great cities of Europe. Enjoy Vienna.